Hello everyone, in this video we want to take a look at packet traces 7 to 10, configure DHCP. You can see 4 objectives here. Configure a router as a DHCP server, configure DHCP relay, configure a router as a DHCP client, and also verify DHCP and connectivity. And what does it mean about DHCP? DHCP is a protocol in networking to assign IP address to our network devices like computers and maybe printers, other routers, and it works dynamically and automatically. And in this situation, for example, R2 will be chosen as a server, DHCP server, and should assign IP address to other devices. And PC1 want to have and get IP address from R2, and we call PC1 and, for example, PC2 client, because they should get IP addresses. And in this situation, PC1 send discover packet to R2, and R2 send offer to PC1, including IP addresses, and PC1 say yes and send a request packet to R2, and then R2 acknowledge and confirm this IP address for PC1 and assign it to PC1. Okay, in this situation, you should use your server, and you can see here configure a router as a DHCP server, configure the exclude IP version for addresses. In this situation, we want to choose R2 as a server, and we want to exclude the first 10 IP addresses from the R1 LAN, because R1 LAN is here, and you want to assign it for fast IP address, and this is not a dynamic IP address. And for example, you have some computers and maybe some servers that want to get fast or static IP address. In this situation, you should save it and exclude it. In configure terminal, you should write here IP DHCP exclude this one. This is IP address for this. You can see here. Yes. Then 1, 2, 189, 10, 10. This is the 10 IP addresses for R1 LAN. And also in this situation, you should also exclude the first 10 IP addresses for R3 LAN. You can see R3 LAN is here and network addresses, and you should write here then 10 IP addresses for this network is 31 to 30T, 10, excuse me. Sometimes I use Danish language. Okay. In this step, you should create the DHCP pool on R2 for the R1 LAN. What is the pool? Each DHCP addresses pool has a group of assignable IP addresses and network configuration parameters, and this is pool. For example, for R1 LAN, you should create IP DHCP. You should create a pool, and you should give it name yes. And in this situation also, you should say which network you should use. You should use this network. And what is the subnet mask? The subnet mask is /24. And what is the default gateway for this situation? Default gateway is 10.1. As you can see here, 10.1. This is IP address for default gateway in router 1 also. And also there you should give DNS server IP address to your system. What is the DNS server IP address? DNS server IP address is here, and it's necessary to give DNS server IP address for each pool. Okay. Other thing, you should go to R2 again and also create a DHCP pool on R2 for the R3 LAN. Exit and say R3 LAN. And what is the IP address? IP address is 30. You can see here, and it's like 24. And what is the DHCP's default gateway? Default gateway is 31. Yes, this is here, 31. It doesn't need to write subnet mask. And what is the DNS server? DNS server is the same for all of the devices here, as you know. Yes. Okay, we should hop in part 2. In part 2, configure DHCP relay. Now we have configured R2 as a DHCP server. We should go to other devices and configure DHCP relay. What is a DHCP relay? DHCP relay is a host or router like a router 1 and router 3 that forwards DHCP packets between clients and servers. It means you want to send packet from R2 to PC1, and R1, for example, help us in this situation to pass these packets over, and also R3. And in this situation, you should configure R1 and R3 as a DHCP relay. And what should we do in this situation? You should go to R1 and say enable conft, and in this situation, you should use this interface because this DHCP packet come here, and now we want to find the road and maybe the path to other devices, and this is here, this interface G00, okay, and you should write here IP helper. IP address helper is 10.1.1.2. What is IP helper address, and what is this address here, this network address here? You can see 10.1.1.2. This is IP address of these interfaces that connected to R1. An IP helper using IP helper address command sets up a DHCP relay here. And in this situation, you want to activate or enable a DHCP relay. And you should say, this is IP address of R2 that helped me to send packets to PC1. Okay, we want to come back to here and configure the helper address for also LAN interface on R3. Okay. Enable interface and configure terminal and interface G00 also here. We can see this is G00 and IP helper address is here. IP helper command configure or activate the DHCP relay. But what is the IP address for this interface here. For R2, this interface, you have this IP address for S001 here. We can see 222. Yes. Now these two router gets rolled get rolled as a relay. Okay. Yes, and what is the next step here? Configure host to receive IP addressing information from DHCP. Configure PC1 and PC2 to receive IP address from a DHCP server. In this simulation, you should go to your computer and come here and set it on DHCP. Okay? And you can see immediately can get any IP address after 1010, and the first IP address that can get this is 1011 because we have saved and excluded the 10 first IP addresses, as you know. Also, you can see here DHCP, and also after 3010, the first IP address that can get this is 3011. Okay, it means also you can also check default gateway here is right, and also check DNS server, and all the devices in this network can get IP address from router 2, but router 1 and router 3 help them to get IP address. And verify the host have received their addresses from devices. You can see here also other thing. You can go here and write ipconfig. You can see here this is IP address, subnet mask, and this is default gateway here. Yes. And what about part 3? Part 3, configure a router as a DHCP client. Okay, just as a PC is able to receive an IP version 4 address from a server, a router interface has the ability to do the same. Okay, router also do that. Router R2 needs to be configured to receive addressing from ISP. Yes, ISP is here. Internet, ISP, internet provider. You should go to R2 here and interface G01. Before that, as you can see here, this is red, and it means there is no connection between router 2 and internet. And router 2 want to get IP address from internet, and internet is a server for router 2 also. Okay. IP address DHCP and no shot. To enable interface to get IP address as a client from server, R2 G01 is a client and ISP is a server in this situation for only R2. And in this situation, you should want to enable R2 this interface for getting IP address, and this is the command you should use to get IP address from DHCP. Okay. Yes. Other thing here, and you can see it will be up also. Yes. And after that, you should write here, verify DHCP and connectivity. We should go to privilege mode, exec mode, and right here, show IP interface brief. You can see IP interface brief. Yes. IP address is for G0, G01. G01 is 209, 165, 200, and 231. Yes, it's here. And because this is a public IP address, yes, and it means it's up and it works and it's also up. Okay. And in this situation, verify DHCP and connectivity, verify DHCP binding. You should write here, show IP DHCP binding. It shows you which IP addresses DHCP give to other devices, assigned to other devices, and it means binding. And you can see to PC1 and PC2. PC1 and PC2 get IP address from R2. And to verify configuration between PC1 and PC2, you can go here and yes, get IP address. What is IP address? Excuse me. Just a moment. And you should write here 128.30.11 and you should wait for ping and you can see it works for you. And also maybe we can ping. But I don't know about maybe it works, but it depends on which routing protocol you have, but it works. And it also, this PC1 can also ping this server in the other side of the internet, as you can see. And ISP has established connection between outside and inside of our network. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe me and support me, and yeah, leave me a message and comment for me. Have a nice day.